So we learned in the episode that the Plymouth GTX is built on the Belvedere body and that the Belvedere was the entry level for Plymouth's B-body makeup. I personally am not a fan of the GTX. When it came out in 1967, I did not think it was a great looking car. I certainly wasn't around the day it came out, but I think the original car, the 67, was not attractive. The 68 got a lot more attractive. It changed a lot of body style and it's a lot better looking car. But again, if I had to walk onto a showroom floor and choose between a GTX and a 68 Roadrunner, I probably would have took the 68 Roadrunner, even though the Roadrunner would have gave you a 383 or a Hemi. Those were your only two options in 68 and a Roadrunner. Whereas if you had actually walked in and bought the Plymouth GTX, you had a 440 Super Commando or a Hemi. So the GTX from a muscle standpoint would have been more desirable for the buck. For drivability, you probably would have took the GTX. I think it would be a better driving car, a more solid feeling car than the Roadrunner. But again, I'm just not a fan. I cared for him a little bit more in 69. A 70 GTX is an all right looking car. It's just so influential of a Roadrunner that unless you see the badging, it's hard to distinguish between the two. 71, the GTX was a good looking car, considering it went to the Coke bottle style B-body. Again, it shared the same platform as a 71 Roadrunner. That was the end of a true GTX, just so you know. In 1972, you could get a GTX, but it was a package that came on a Roadrunner. So nobody actually owns a true 72 GTX. They have a 72 Roadrunner with the GTX package, which did get you the 440, which was always a mandatory minimum engine in the GTX. But not one of my favorite cars. That's just my own personal opinion. I don't mean to offend anybody with the GTXs, just not my personal cup of tea.